Hello everyone, and welcome to another beer review. Now today we're on a beer that's maybe a blast from the past. I don't know if it's a good blast from the past, but I know it's a blast from the past, although not made by the same brewery, so I don't know how much of a blast from the past it really is. But today we're going to be doing Double Diamond Pale Ale. Although if I remember rightly, the original Double Diamond was an IPA that eventually kind of morphed into being a Pale Ale before it ceased production, and then it's now been brought back apparently by so it's brewed for Allsops by the Kirkstall Brewery in Leeds, and it's 3.8% and it's a 440ml can. There you go, it's all marvellous. Don't think there's really much. It's got the kind of the old original kind of logo and character and everything else, but there's nothing really there. Nothing about it apart from it brewed as a pale ale, drinks like a lager, tastes bloody wonderful is what it's called. And I thought, well, this is 3.8% and I did have one of these left, so I'm going to compare it because we know how kind of not so great this is. Is this actually any better? So I thought, well, might as well compare them side by side. So as you probably know, it's a Wednesday video. And the choice of recovery drink today is this little beauty. So the Bank Hall Artisan British single malt whiskey. It's 40% by volume, and yeah, when I would any wee bit thing, it's this amber gold whiskey finished in bourbon barrels has aromas of vanilla and toffee, candied citrus fruit, fig and sultana. On the palate, experience dry fruit, creamy malt, nuts and dark chocolate, sourced from our Aberfoyle distillery. So it's bottled for Bank Hall by Halewood Artisanal Spirits Limited. There you go. And apparently it's supposed to be Lancashire, I think, but don't quote me on that. So we'll be trying that. So I've got the glass and the water, and also the little, well, I'll be totally honest, I'm actually up in Scotland. One of the main reasons is unfortunately I've got to go to a funeral. My late father's brother has sadly passed away, Uncle Benji, and so I'll be attending that funeral in the next couple of days. So that's one of the reasons I'm up in Scotland. But I was kind of bored because I was trying to get things sorted out for the funeral and doing other bits and bobs. Like I had to get a haircut. I was really desperate for a haircut, so I had to get a haircut because I couldn't turn up looking like fucking, you know, what was his name again? That big hairy bastard that used to be on the television. Grizzly Adams, wasn't it? Grizzly Adams. I didn't want to kind of turn up at the funeral looking like that. And I was kind of bored, and I thought, bugger it, I'll buy some cheap vodka. Just think it's sitting up there somewhere. And I'll do a wee Nastoica. So I was bored. So I made myself a wee Nastoica. Now, if you don't know what Nastoica is, it's a flavoured vodka and that type of stuff. Most of the time, proper Nastoica is usually, it's really done as a kind of winter drink. So it's usually done kind of in the autumn and winter because you use the actual central heating in the house to help with it. And also it's a good way of using up any of the kind of the last of the summer fruits and things like that. That's a normal way of basically doing Nastoica, but technically it can be any flavoured neutral grain spirit or IMFL, which is Indian made foreign liquor, which of course is basically a pure spirit with no flavours or anything else. and then you basically infuse flavours into it and things like that. So if you wonder what this one is, this is a butterscotch one. Just thought I'd try that, it'd be quite nice. Good thing about this one is you can also use them as mixers. You don't actually have to use them just to drink straight or whatever. You can actually use them to actually make kind of a little bit more to cocktails or other things like that. So like this would probably be quite good for doing, like say, a White Russian. Going to give you slight butterscotch kind of edge to it, as well as obviously the Kahlua and all that type of stuff. So coffee and butterscotch would go quite well. So that's one of the reasons why, but we'll have a wee taste of that, and we'll tell you how good or bad it is. So we start cracking open some of these beers, because that's what we're here for, isn't it? We're here for a little bit of double diamond, aren't we? Oh God, I have to go and buy a shirt for the bloody wedding? Fucking funeral. Jesus, it's gone from a funeral to a bloody wedding. Ah, Jesus, I've lost the plot now, so I have. No, so I had to go and buy a shirt. Problem was, the shirts I've got, they're a bit tight round about the neck. I mean, I don't know what happens when you put them in the wardrobe and you haven't worn them for a while. They actually get smaller. They shrink. I don't know why. You know, if you don't use them enough, it's like batteries. If you don't use them enough, you go back then, there's no power in them. You go back to them and they don't fit around your neck, you know. But anyways, I had to go to next. Because, well, there's nowhere else to really kind of buy things kind of round about here. So I thought, right, I'll just go to next and that type of stuff. And, that was some fucking... Jesus! You can smell hops. And it's citrusy. Kind of tropically great. Oh Jesus, this is good fucking radio rental, this one. Jesus. Yeah, that was an experience. First of all, they never seem to have them in any sizes. So if they had them in 18, and I thought, no, that's going to be too big. I think she should be around about 17 and a half. And they didn't have any 17 and a half. So the other option was 17 or 18. I thought, well, 18 will probably be too loose. I'll probably better to go for the 17. So I'm standing there, and there's all these women just kind of hanging about this kind of, the pay desk, the cashier desk. But there's no cashier there. I'm thinking, what's going on here? And then this woman comes out from around the back with this bag, this kind of sealed plastic bag with next all over it, and she starts shouting out names, and women are going, and I'm thinking, oh, this is the online collection, this, isn't it? So I'm standing there, and everybody else apart from me is waiting for online collection. And the woman standing in front of me kind of looks around and sees me standing there with a shit. Oh, sorry, I'm not in the queue for the cashier desk. I says, yeah, it doesn't matter, love, because at the end of the day, there's nobody there to serve me anyway, so whether you move or not, I'm still going to be waiting, Fucking seriously. So it goes on like this, and I'm thinking, this is unbelievable. Then basically, when the last bag comes out for the last woman waiting, the woman comes out with the bag, gives it to the woman, and the next minute the manageress appears. And you see, she's like, all the work's done now, I can get out and start kind of smoozing around about the store. And then she spots me standing there and immediately turns around, fucks straight off, back in, round the back of the blooming kind of the shop. And I'm like, seriously, yeah? You came out there when there was basically, you thought there was no customers, spotted me, yeah. So I had to wait for the woman who was handing out all the stuff to eventually basically come back round, and then I could buy my shirt. Got it home and didn't fucking fit. Funny enough, wouldn't go around my neck. Must have been sitting on the fucking shelf for too long, Bastards. But then I checked with older shirts that I didn't really want to wear. I just didn't feel, they're just old and tired. And the 17 and a half from Marks and Spencer's goes around my neck, but a 17 and a 17 and a half from Next, because I found another Next shirt that's 17 and a half, and it wouldn't go around my neck either. So I'm sitting there thinking, right, I'll order an 18 online, bastards. Because the reason why is the case is, they did have 18s, but not really in the colour I wanted. So I've ordered an 18 online. You're thinking, Jesus God, it's unbelievable buying a fucking shirt nowadays. Anyway, enjoy the things that we do when we go shopping for things for funerals. cleaned all my shoes and everything. I'm not as if I'm actually looking forward to it, by the way. You might be thinking, oh, she sounds excited about that. I'm not actually. It's quite a sad thing. I actually quite like Uncle Benji. Don't know if he liked me and that type of stuff, but I quite liked him. You know, he was quite a funny guy. So, that's a double diamond. That's Anthem from St. Austell's. Bit of a difference, smell-wise. Very hoppy. Definitely getting citrusy, kind of grapefruit. Maybe a little bit of passion fruit as well. Yes, very tropical. This one, no smell at all. No. Lacking in the smell department, as I say. How marvellous. So yeah, just by going by the smells. Back at this board. Oh, cheeky. So yeah, marvellous. Although in saying that though, I do prefer funerals to weddings. I hate weddings because at least with funerals, you can be a bit of a glum bastard. It's quite good that way, which I'm quite good at. Quite good at being a kind of dry glum bastard. Oh, it's a shame he's gone. Aye, he's not coming back. You know, that type of thing. He was a lovely man. Oh, he was a bit of an old. See you next Tuesday as well. So still owes me money. You know, that type of thing. You know, you can say bad things about the dead. It's fine. You know what I mean? He had a lovely singing voice. You should see the size of his feet. You know what I mean? That type of thing. You know, wind people up. Problems with weddings, you can't do that. You've got to be nice to people at weddings. Oh, doesn't she look lovely? She fitted in the dress. You know, that type of, you can't say that. You know, people, what's wrong with you? Oh, the food's lovely. I broke my fucking teeth. You know, oh, don't the bridesmaid look lovely? Aye, and a kebab. You know what I mean? But no, you can't say that. You're all going to be like, I haven't seen you for ages. Oh, how you cute and don't give a shit. You know what I mean? That type of bollocks, you know. Oh, you must be so proud of her. She's had a lot of cocks too. Oh, you know what I mean? Made cockings at weekends, but you finally managed to get rid of her. Oh, well done. You know, that type of him. Right, double diamond, slightly hazy, lighter in colour. So see what it tastes like. Oh, fucking hell. Right. Oh, that's like a cacophony of flavours, unfortunately. Oh, it's got a nice mouthful. That's the best I can get out just now. Let's try the Anthem. Oh, yeah, Anthem tastes a bit kind of synthetic and got a bit more kind of fizziness to the mouthfeel. Don't know why these beers exist. Fucking hell. Oh, Jesus. I really should have just done this beer review by itself, just a double diamond, because now I've just realised I kind of shot myself in the foot. Drinking two beers with the kind of hoppiness that I'm not that keen on. You know, there's one, you know, you ever get that, you have a good, well, in your own mind, and, you know, you think, from the idea stage, the planning stage, think, that's not a bad idea, I could do that. I've got a spare one there, and it would be interesting to see how it kind of compares. That'd be wonderful. In practice, I'm now sitting there thinking, you're an arsehole. You should have just stuck with just doing a normal review. You had to try and make it fucking fancy, didn't you? You couldn't leave it alone. Idiot. So I would say this, just straight off the bat, without kind of breaking down any of the flavours, I prefer this to this. This actually feels more like a beer. This feels more like a concoction. And I said when I reviewed it, it wasn't that great, and it did feel a bit synthetic, especially around a bit the kind of hops and things like that. Just, you know what I mean? Whereas this one does feel a lot more natural. It's got a nicer mouthfeel, better body. and the nice little bit of sweetness there as well that just kind of slightly takes the edge off the hops, and the hops feel a bit more natural as well, which is nice. But unfortunately it's the style of hops that I'm not really that keen on. I don't mind the kind of citrusy, passiony, fruity kind of things, but I find it quite sickening very quickly. I'll be totally honest. I mean, I couldn't drink a lot of this. In other words, one's enough. When I say, oh, I couldn't drink a lot of that, that's my fucking first and last, is what I'm really thinking. And yeah, it just becomes overbearing, that type of stuff. And it's gonna, excuse me, there's a big one in there, and I do apologise because I'm not one for really wanting to riff, but let's go into the whiskey for God's sake. So yeah, a British single malt whiskey, which is a bit of a strange one why they call it a British one, but I just feel that they don't want to kind of hold on. Here it comes. No, stop. Oh, excuse me. Quality beers these. Anyway, yeah, I think they'd basically called it a British single malt. They used the word British because I just feel that they didn't want to kind of offend the Scots by saying English, because obviously if you say British, okay, you can maybe get away with it, but obviously up in Scotland, if you say, you know, English whiskey or English single malt whiskey, the Scots, they're just going to piss all over it, aren't they? What the fuck would they know? Cheeky bastards, think they can make a whiskey, you know, all that kind of bollocks, you know, because obviously Scotland's the only place that can make whiskey, you know, apart from fucking Ireland, Canada, America, India, Japan, you know, how would the English ever learn that, you know? Fucking idiots, so there. But this is a bullshit, you know what I mean? Which is, I feel a bit kind of strange. Oh, maybe they're just trying to bring the world together. Maybe they're trying to be inclusive, you know, which is very, very popular nowadays. Everybody wants to basically, you know, the world to be inclusive now, and, you know, we want to be diverse but all inclusive, you know what I mean? That type of stuff, you know. I mean, we all want to be individuals, but we've all got to be fucking together. I don't know how that works. Anyway. But I think if it's made in England, call it English. You've got every right to, and I don't see why you have any problem with that. And you shouldn't have any problem with that. It's that type of thing. Is like, to a certain point, is that, you know, the Scots can be nationalistic, the Welsh can be national. Apparently the English can't. You know what I mean? Unless it's a really type of sporting event you can get away with. You know, I think English people can only kind of really be show national pride in England if it's a sporting event that only involves England, you know what I mean? In fact, they'd probably turn around in the English-Scotland game, that they'd probably, if they could get away with it, they'd say, well, the English can't really support England because it might offend the Scots during the match, you know? It'd be that fucking stupidity you have nowadays, you know? Now, my view is, you should be as proud of England just as much as the Scots are proud of Scotland, or the Welsh are. Well, why are the Welsh proud of fucking Wales? It's always fucking raining there. It's dour as fuck. There's big holes in the ground because they kept fucking pulling coal out of them, you know what I mean? And they've just left them there. And it's fucking bleak. And then you've got the accents. And they're kind of strange people to talk to, the Welsh. Seriously, for fuck's sake. Never mind their own fucking language, by the way. You always seem to think you're just coming back from a cold, son, you know, because you're hacking something up there, you know, clearing the fucking throat and the fucking sinuses, you know. Anyway, no real smell of it. You're getting a, yeah. The alcohol is just, you know, that's what you're really picking up. You're not really picking up. Did they fucking say that? You know what I mean? I love that when they say, oh, you can get this smell and that smell. I fucking do, you know. Oh, aromas of vanilla. Maybe I'm vanilla, yeah. Toffee. Maybe pushing that a bit. You can smell a little bit of sweetness there, but I wouldn't really say toffee. Candied citrus fruit. No. Fig and sultanas. No. No, Because really all you're really fucking smelling is the alcohol vapours, but you're all, you can smell fucking everything in this bastard. You know, no, you're not. Maybe a little bit of vanilla, ever so slight, but it's mostly all you're just getting is alcohol fucking vapour. Right, kind of warmed it up a little bit. Let's see what it's like. Getting some vanilla, a little bit of toffee in the actual flavour, and kind of creaminess, yeah. Nuts, no. Dark chocolate. Dark chocolate. The fuck are you getting dark chocolate from whiskey? For fuck's sake. What the fuck are you doing with your whiskey to make it taste of fucking dark chocolate? Or what else have you been drinking or fucking smoking that you're actually tasting the whiskey thinking, I can taste dark chocolate in this? Maybe a little bit of nuts. Maybe slightly almondy. But what I think is there's a slight bitterness at the back end, and I think they're trying to construe that as, you know, dark chocolate, that kind of dark chocolate bitterness type thing. No. I think you're kind of pushing it. I would say the two main flavours are vanilla and, yeah, definitely kind of almonds. I mean, it's only 40%, but it's still really smooth and that type of stuff for a single. I'll put a wee drop of water in it. Oh, cheeky. And we'll give that a wee mix and leave it to settle. Oh, you can just see the oils starting to blend in, so we'll leave it that. And we'll get back onto this. Oh, Jesus. Yeah. I think if you're into your kind of craft, kind of pale ales, IPAs, all that kind of stuff, you'd probably quite like the Double Diamond. It's not the worst I've had. It's quite easy drinking and everything else, but like I say, I could drink it, but I don't think I could drink a lot of it. But it's actually not too bad. This, on the other hand, well, now, one thing I do notice between the two, there's a lot more flavour in this than there is in this. When the two of them are side by side, this is actually lacking flavour. But I can still detect some of the kind of synthetic kind ofness, especially at the back end, especially around about the hops. But the actual beer itself doesn't really actually have much flavour. This has a lot more flavour. So it just shows you not all beers are created equal. But yeah, what I would turn around and say is that the Double Diamond actually feels like it's actually been brewed by people that actually gave a shit. Anthem Session Pale Ale feels a bit synthetic, lacking in flavour, especially up against the Double Diamond, and just kind of feels like it's kind of mass produced for the masses. This one does feel like it's brewed to make money. This one feels like it's actually been brewed for drinkers to actually enjoy. There's enough about it to kind of give you the impression that somewhere along the line somebody actually gave a shit. I can't say where or when, but yeah, there seems to be a bit more care and attention put in this one. There's more of a process to this, whereas this seems to be more processed. See what I did there? So should we break down these flavours before we get back onto the whiskey and maybe have a couple of shots of the Nostalgia? start off with some light malt, bit of sweetness, bit of grain. But even at the front of the mouth, you're still getting little accents of the kind of passion fruit and citrus just edging in near the kind of the back end of the front of the mouth. But it feels that there's a nice mouthfeel, and it feels that the kind of light malt you're getting kind of light kind of caramel, and the sweetness feels as if it's kind of connected to it. Moves on to the kind of mid tongue, and yes, it's like a cacophony. The malts takes a slight kind of back seat a little bit, just because the hop flavours are kind of ramping up in the mid tongue. The sweetness kind of stays basically the same, and I think the malt flavour would probably stay the same, but they're just kind of slightly overpowered, obviously, by the rise in the hop flavours. And yeah, I'm picking up kind of light kind of grapefruit, light citrus, and a bit of passion fruit. That's what I'm picking up in the mid tongue. There's no bitterness there at all. There's no bitter accents, nothing like that. And when you're coming across onto from the back of the mid tongue onto the kind of back of the mouth and aftertaste, yeah, it's very much of a muchness, and all the flavours kind of dissipate quite quickly and quite cleanly. There's no flavours lingering. There's no bitterness at the back end. It's a very clean finish at the back end. And overall, this, and with the mouthfeel, this actually, even though it's slightly higher alcohol, I think this is 3.8, if I remember rightly. This is 3.8, the double diamond, and the Anthem is only 3.4. But this actually feels more sessionable and a lot more flavorable than this. This doesn't have such a particularly nice mouthfeel. It has a bit slightly overcarbonated feel about it. It's lacking in flavour, even though this is supposed to be the session one. I think it's the case, is that what you mean by session? It's either lower alcohol and no bloody flavour. Well, if that's the case, then this is definitely sessionable. And yeah, and what flavours you do get that kind of rise above the parapet, they feel a bit synthetic, running with the hops. And even then, it's just because this is affecting the palate, this has got a lot more flavour. The flavours you're really only picking up on this one is the kind of the hops with a kind of slightly synthetic kind of edge to them. So this is really quite dreadful. It's quite dreadful on its own, but it's even worse when it's up against something else that's actually better than it. It just really kind of shows how bad the Anthem really is. But this is actually a far better beer, and if it's the type of beer you like, then you're on to a winner. Right, whiskey time. Yes. It's amazing how many whiskies are getting brewed with a little bit of splash of water, but yeah, it just sort of expands the kind of flavour profile a bit. The vanilla actually has more of an edge to it, and it kind of opens out. It's like a flower blossoming, you know what I mean? You taste it without that, just straight from the bottle. It's like looking at a flower bud, and then you add the water and it starts to kind of bloom a bit, and then just the flavours kind of open out and expand, and you get to see all the colours, you know. More vanilla. There's a little bit of the nuttiness. I mean, there's a bit of nuttiness there, a bit of the almond there, but it's not as pronounced as it was when it was straight. And, you know, because you don't have that kind of slight bitterness at the back end now, you don't have the kind of you get a little bit of dried fruit, maybe slightly, but you're definitely not getting any dark chocolate tones at all now. So at least it's killed off that fucking nonsense, fucking utter willy pish. Right, before we score the beer, let's give this Well, it's the right colour for butterscotch, isn't it? You know, I think so. Excuse me. Excuse me. Jesus. I thought I was going to break into a Jim Davison impression there. You know, I can't remember that character's name, but I'm sure it got him banned. Anyway. Oh, that's naughty. That would actually make a really nice White Russian. I quite like a White Russian, by the way. Well, it's just, I have to say that because the wife's a White Russian. See what I did there? See, it would actually be nice there. Smells of butterscotch. Yes, it does. Ooh. Taste of butterscotch. Nice bit of creaminess to it as well with it. Oh yeah. But it's not too sweet, which is what I wanted. I didn't want it too sweet, and it still has a bit of alcohol kind of kick to it as well. And overall, oh, that's bloody lovely, that, by the way. Fuck aye. Oh, oh, cheeky. Oh yes. Oh yeah, that's nice. I like that. Oh yes, that's really nice. That's absolutely spot on. Because the problem is you need the burn. You need to make sure, you know, I'm not trying to disguise the alcohol. I'm trying to add some accent flavours to it that makes it kind of a bit different, a bit more interesting. Obviously it adds a little bit of sweetness to it and things like that, but you have to get that balance right. You don't want it to be too sweet, because one, that makes it sickening, and two, as if like you're trying to kind of disguise the alcohol, which you don't want to. You want the kind of alcohol warmth and kick and things like that, but you also want the kind of that nice kind of base accent flavour as well, because that's the whole point of an Historica. It's not to try and disguise the alcohol, it's to kind of add kind of preferred flavours, you know, but you still know you're drinking alcohol and you're still getting the same type of burn, you're still getting the same type of kind of alcohol kick. So that's what you want, and yeah, this is just spot on. If you would like me to do any kind of Nostalgia kind of videos and actually make some and show you how to make kind of different Nostalgias and things like that, I've heard, obviously, you know, I know people that have used to make their own kind of Nostalgias, and they used to do stupid things like putting cola cubes into fucking vodka bottles and things like that and leave them for a couple of weeks and then getting absolutely shit-faced on it, you know, that kind of stuff. There's a bit more art to it, and especially if you're doing kind of with natural ingredients and things like that, because you've got to kind of control it, and also you've got to filter it, and you've also got to kind of get the infusion right and everything else. It takes a little bit of effort and things like that, and I'm quite happy to do it because obviously it's a very popular thing in Russia, doing a flavoured vodka or Nostalgia, because that's right. Plus also there's two ways of doing it. You can do it as a liqueur, which is, you know, this is 40%, whereas if you did it, you get two different forms. You get a 20% Nostalgia or a 40% Nostalgia. So this is done as more of a flavoured vodka, whereas if you also dilute it down to 20%, because you obviously kind of gauge it, so you lose some of the alcohol by gaining some of the fruit juice and everything, the actual fruit juice from the fruit. So if you do that in the right way, then it becomes slightly more of a kind of liqueur, kind of aperitif type thing. So there's two different ways of doing it. And if anybody's interested in learning how to do it and all the kind of little kind of tips and tricks that I've learned from the Russians, then let me know, and I'll do a couple of videos on how to make different kind of styles of Nostalgia, including a famous one. Nerimov did a chili one, which is always very, very popular in Russia, and yeah, that had its own kicks, and trust me, that's a good one to make. And if you'd like to know how to make it, then let us know down below. Give us a heads up, and if you want to know, then I'll do a couple of videos showing you how to make Nostalgia. Oh, that's a daddy. Oh, that would put hairs in your chest, by the way. Oh, that's a bit touchy. Oh, lovely. It's got that really nice kind of creamy back end after you swallow, and the alcohol burn goes away. You're just kind of left with a slight creaminess at the back of the mouth, and it's really very pleasant. That's absolutely spot on. But again, only made a little small bottle, which is a shame. Also, it's a good way of getting. I always use them because there's a good example. There's an old whiskey bottle. Always good for basically reusing old whiskey bottles, making some Nastoica or something like that. It's always good fun. And it's a good thing is, surprisingly, a lot of women quite like it, and they get into it very, very kind of quickly and find it quite enjoyable, and they realise the world's their oyster. But yeah, there's different kind of ways of doing Nastoica and different reasons for doing it and things like that. And if you want me to do some videos, I'll show you the different ways you can use Nastoica, especially in cocktails and things like that as well. So it's one of these ones where it is supposed to be the barman channel, and yeah, it is predominantly beer, but we also have experience in other kind of alcohols and things like that. So we're quite happy to kind of make videos and kind of show some of the other fun you can have getting pished. So, out of 10, this. It's actually not too bad, actually. Again, not my favourite, but I can see quite a lot of people actually enjoying that. And I think the price is roughly about, it was under £6 for 4 bottles. It would be £5 such and such. I can't quite remember. I'll put it obviously down below, but 5 bottles, it's fucking in cans, you spastic. So it is, unbelievable. Anyway, yeah, so it's under £6 for 4 cans of 440ml. Cheap bastards. But anyway, yeah, it's £5.50 something, whatever. I can't quite remember, but I did buy this down in England, so I'll give the English prices. Fuck the Scottish prices, because that's just arseholes of the SNP. I mean, you think things are bad down in England and Wales and that under Westminster. These bastards are affecting your alcohol and all, and still doing the other fucking same fuck-ups as Westminster. Christ, SNP, you can go and fuck yourself. In fact, most politicians, you go and fuck yourself. I think SNP is really there, you know, because at the end of the day, they're trying to kind of split the country, and they're absolutely fucking useless. Seriously. Oh, you can't say that. Oh, you can't say that up here. Oh, and you fucking can. You can. You're arseholes. And you're fucking useless. Yeah. Seriously. You're like windscreen wipers in a fucking submarine, you cunt. Anyway, we have to bleep that one out now. I'm sitting there thinking, I shouldn't have said that, because that's now everybody piss about with the bloody editing software to bleed out that see you next Tuesday, you know what I mean? But I might even just keep it in, because it was about the SNP, so I could put it down as factual. Fuck it, I'm leaving it in. That'll be the first one that's going to be left in. I'm going to leave that see you next Tuesday in, because they deserve that. Bugger them. No, I mean, for the style of beer it is, it's actually quite a nice, well balanced kind of pale ale of that kind of style. I prefer a more traditional pale ale, which of course this isn't. So on that basis, with price, 440ml can, I'm going to give it a 5.5. I mean, if you compare it to, I also think this is a viable product, and it's not. It's just dreadful, let's be totally honest, and it's even worse now than it was when it was being reviewed by itself, because it's now up against a better beer, and it just shows you how much this beer's lacking. So automatically I would say this is obviously, I would put this above average for this style of beer, even though it's not my kind of favourite style of pale ale. So I'm going to give this a 5.5. It seems nicely brewed, seems to have a nice mouthfeel, bit of body to it. The kind of hoppy flavours are quite nice, even though they're not the type of flavours that I actually want and are looking for, but they're still quite nice in their own right. And yeah, overall, fair play to them. They've actually made not a bad beer. So, this is 5.5. What would I give this? It's actually not too bad. It's okay for drinking. Slightly lacking a bit for a single malt. You'd want a little bit more to it. It just, for me, I'm really only kind of getting two main flavours out of it. Whether it's straight or with water, and even then, it kind of slightly loses one a little bit. One of the main flavours kind of dies down with the water, and it's one of these ones where it's a bit nicer with the water, but a bit more interesting without the water, if that's a better way of putting it. It loses a little bit of flavour on one side, but gains a little bit more bloom on the other. So overall it feels like a nicer product with the water, but it actually seems more interesting with the nuttiness and the vanilla kind of in its natural kind of state at 40% ABV straight. So yeah, but it's not a particularly complicated single malt, and yeah, there isn't really that much of a backbone to it. So on that basis, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 10. It's actually not too bad. It's something, yeah, give it a go. It's, you know, something we love. Maybe, I'm not going to say it's different, but it's something, yeah, kind of a bit kind of off the beaten track, a little bit more unusual, and yeah, give it a go, and just to say you've tried it, whatever. But yeah, the price isn't too bad. I think I got this for roughly about 20 quid, which, or from Amazon, which isn't bad, let's be totally honest. And it's okay for sipping and everything else. I mean, it's actually not too bad. But of course there is better ones out there. Whether for the same price, well, that's debatable. But at the end of the day, yeah, I would say 4.5 is probably a good one. That's for this little cheeky kind of onset. So no, so it's bloody addictive because it's got the kick, it's got the flavour. I love butterscotch. It's one of my favourite flavours, and this just has the flavour, the kick, the whole blooming lot. I'm starting to really enjoy these Wednesday videos. I really do. I don't know why. Oh, this is the best of both worlds. Alcohol kick, butterscotch flavouring, bit of creaminess at the back end. Oh, I'm nearly creaming my fucking underwear here, by the way. I mean, this left knee is trembling like a shitting dog. It really is. It's unbelievable. That's a good nostalgia. That really is. And not only by itself, but it could be used in a lot of different cocktails. That kind of butterscotch flavour would really enhance the cocktail. So that's really nice. I am going to give that a 9. Well, I could easily give it a 10 out of 10, but I don't want to be kind of conceited, so I'll give it a 9 out of 10. But it's really a fucking 10. That's lovely. I could make a litre of that, and I could get myself and everybody else in the fucking room into trouble with it, and it'd be fucking great fun. That's really nice. The good thing is it's not going to be sickening because it still has the kick, the alcohol kick, and the burn. So it has all that. So it feels like, Jesus, every time it's like, you know what I mean? It still gives you that hit. You don't get acclimatized to it because you haven't really died down the flavour of the alcohol and the kind of the effect of the alcohol by making all the flavours overbearing and overly sweet and everything else. So yeah, really nice. And I would recommend, I'll if you wanted me to show you how to make it, then I'll show you how to make it. And yeah, I think you would enjoy it, and I think your other half in your life would enjoy it as well. You can have a right good session with them, male or female. Anyway, 4.5, 5.5. That's better. I'm all over the place. 5.5 out of 10. 3.8%, 440ml can, double diamond. Thanks for watching. Cheers, and bye for now.